I'm going to talk to you today about the 10 amazing, huge pieces of news over the last week that should drive prices of Tesla higher in the coming week. This is Randy Kirk, and if you like the kind of content that we have on this channel, why haven't you subscribed yet? So it's time to subscribe. Subscriptions help drive the channel to greater heights. It helps me. If you don't mind, just subscribe. If you want to have notifications, once you subscribe, you can be notified of the next video. I do attempt to put up 2 videos a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. I've been fairly consistent at that over the last 30 or so days. Or if there's breaking news, something that's huge, then I might put up a 3rd video in any given day. So if this kind of content that I would think hopefully is helping investors, hopefully is just helping your knowledge base. I don't do the news. There's so many people that are so good at doing the news. You should be watching Lars Strenritter on Sundays when he does Best in Tesla. Warren Redlick does a great job also on Sunday of kind of encapsulating the news on a daily basis. I am, always going to be listening to Dylan Loomis at Electrified. He is really doing a great job on daily news. I don't do the news. I tend to take a concept. I take one piece of news possibly and try to really go deep on it, or I try to see the big picture and how it's going to affect the future and do an analysis. So if that analysis makes sense to you, that's why you want to watch this channel. But today we're going to dig into an analysis. Last week was a huge positive news week for Tesla. It just doesn't get much better than last week, but I do expect great news next week as well. So, but it's just a particularly interesting week in terms of great news. It should drive the stock. Of course, the stock has been going crazy, but with this amount of good news, the story starts to become evident again. I believe a big reason for the breakdown in the stock price last year was that the story had holes. There was holes in the story. When you have a story stock and people say, well, no, but wait, the story's supposed to be this, and it turns out, no, that's not so much, especially in a risk-off circumstance, then the combination is going to be huge. And it was huge last year. Well, I think we're going back into a risk-on environment. In fact, Kathy Wood on Friday in her monthly report said that she sees that we're coming back into a risk-on situation. And I tend to agree with her. If you look at the bond market and you look at the cryptocurrencies, those two would both indicate that we're going back into something more of a risk-on environment. There was some headline reporting this week that suggested we're going into a value, that there's a transition into value stocks. I think that could also be true, but I'm not as willing to make that statement yet. But risk-on does seem to be coming back. More importantly, to Tesla investors, is that the story is starting to be obviously true. And if people begin to understand that the reality for 2024, 23 and 24 is something on the order of $10 to $12 a share in earnings in 23, and maybe double that in 24, then the stock is going to do what I think is going to do, which is go to 400 in 2023 and go to 700 or higher in 2024. So let's talk about the 10 huge stories from last week. Number one, the Tesla stock almost doubled in 1 month from its low. We were at 101 intraday, never at the close of the day, but we were 101 just about a month ago. And over the course of last week, we were pressing up against 200 in the intraday, almost a doubling in a month. That is crazy unless my analysis is correct. My analysis would say that stock was crushed by the combination of those two things I mentioned. The story had holes in it and risk was off. If you reverse the story, risk comes on a bit and people say that the story is actually true again, that would account for the huge reversal in even a single month. I think the huge reversal will continue. I'm going to suggest that we're going to break through 200 next week. We've been bouncing. I think we're going to break through 200 next week. And then there's going to be some part, let's be real, there's going to be some place where there's going to be more profit taking than new money coming in. So there's going to be some up and down, but I'm thinking maybe that up and down might be going to 240 and then coming back and trying to go below 200, then going back to 240. Maybe we'll be in a range. I don't know. I'm not a technical analyst. I'm not even an investment counselor. Okay, so this is all Randy Kirk. This is for entertainment purposes only, and do your own homework. Anyway, those are my numbers. I think we don't go below. We're going to go above 200 and maybe never see 200 again. Number two, Tesla raised prices. Oh, who said they'd raise prices? I thought it'd take longer, but they raised prices again on Friday on Model Ys. So we'll talk about, one of the other things coming up down the list here. Actually, it's number three. The IRS came out and said, oh no, the $7,500 should absolutely apply to all Model Ys. They are definitely SUVs, and that was a benefit to Tesla. It was a benefit to Ford and General Motors and others who were also being left out of this one funny little category. But now that the $7,500 applies to all Tesla vehicles, all Tesla Model Ys, that allowed, it may be the reason that Tesla raised a couple of Model Ys by 1,000. They also reduced one Model 3 by 500. That was kind of odd, but I believe that you'll continue to see these kind of price adjustments being made on a regular basis going forward into 2023 until there's some kind of equilibrium reached. I think that Elon would like to have steady pricing. I think he'd prefer it to be that way, and he'd prefer it to be as low as possible. He said that many, many times. But as these circumstances are changing in this very unusual economy, and with all these incentives and whatnot going on, I think you'll continue to see that there will be this kind of pricing changing taking place in markets, different products at different times. And all of that will tend to be towards higher prices. So what does that mean? Well, that means that margins will be returning to closer to normal. The price cut worked. If you've been watching me the last couple of weeks, I said, 3 weeks, I said the price cut, the huge price cut was genius. As a marketing guy my whole life, I thought I would have never done it. That's not what I would have done. I had all kinds of recommendations. They're in the book, The Elon Musk Mission. If you haven't bought the book yet, you should buy the book. In the book, I talk about all the different things that could be done. And by the way, last week, one of them was done. They came out with a Model 3 lease at $399 a month. I suggested $299 a month, but $399 is great. That's a great way to increase demand if you think that there's a little slowing in demand. Well, but the price cut was an amazing stroke of genius. Why? It was immediate. It was headline grabbing for days and days and days. It continues to be headline grabbing because the other companies are now responding to it, and that creates a new headline. Elon is a genius at getting headlines. The price cut got massive headlines. Everybody said, okay, they've got pricing power. It helped the story. So many benefits to the price cuts being so dramatic. It's hard to talk about all the possible ways that that's impacting the product right now. Okay, so as the prices raise back up, that will add to the story again in a positive way, because we'll be heading back towards full margins. How much better does it get than that? Number 4, new incentives in various markets, including China. So China announced that some of their incentives that they had tried last year and tested, they are going to reinstate them. A couple of incentive changes in Europe. Interesting to see what countries do around the world this year in terms of their incentive programs with regard to cars, because there's all kinds of pressures right now. Some of the European makers, some of the Chinese makers are in big trouble. South Korea, not so good. Kia and Hyundai, strong companies, doing great, but their EV thing is not happening quite as well as I think they'd like it to be. And then you have Japan that's in a total mess. So in fact, I'm going to have Lars Steinritter on my show later this week, and we're going to be talking about all the different car companies. We're going to go down the list of the major car companies and their current status, how they're doing, what their projections are in terms of what they're going to do with EVs, and what we think that'll mean in 2027, the last year of the ice age. So stay tuned for that one. That's coming later next week. Subscribe and be notified if you want to make sure that you don't miss that particular version. Okay, number 5, Megapack production is confirmed again and again. So what's the real production? We actually don't know. I'm going to probably start a Twitter fight later today. I am so appreciative of the reporting that's been done by these other individuals like Zero Sum Game 33 and others. Their reporting has been great. We all owe them a debt for the stuff that they've done, but even I sometimes are overly optimistic. Even I have a tendency to go off the rails. Oh no, not me. Like for instance, I'm saying that there'll be 300 to 1,000 Optimus robots built by hand at Tesla's factories this year and put to work. Maybe I'll be completely wrong on that. Maybe I'm completely off the rails. But in the case of the Megapacks, I don't think we have a real number yet. And I don't think it matters. So I'm going to start the war. I'm going to start the fight. But at the end of the day, I don't think it matters. Tesla has confirmed that the current capacity is 40 gigawatt hours. They've confirmed that the factory is capable of making 1 Megapack every 68 minutes. That doesn't mean they're doing it now. It may mean they're doing it later. I don't care. The key is not what is done next week or next month. The key is what is their capacity, and especially what is their future capacity plans. And again, we have some reporting from Zero Sum and others that they're already planning to dramatically increase the capacity at Lathrop to say 120 gigawatts from the current 40 gigawatts. Well, that of course would be a huge benefit to the bottom line of Tesla, and would certainly be in the direction that I'm expecting. But whether they build more capacity at Lathrop or whether they build it in Texas or in Europe, I don't care. I know based on Elon's statements that he plans to put in 1 terawatt of capacity somewhere. Which week, which month, which quarter that happens is pretty irrelevant. The trend line and the direction and the confirmation of those trend lines by making statements about putting that kind of capacity in, that's what I'm looking for. But we did have some more confirmation this last week, which was positive, that maybe we're already somewhere around the 40 gigawatt production level. Okay, number 6, China production now points to Tesla's overall unit sales next year being 2.2 million. I still think it's 2.3. The 2 million number is nuts. But if you're going to, so the China production number that was put out this week is that they're going to be doing 20,000 vehicles a week. Well, you multiply 20 times 50, and it's pretty easy to come up with 1 million. In fact, you can come up with 1,000,001. And that's assuming that they don't increase it during the year. So if China is going to make 1 million vehicles this year, and Texas is going to make 300,000, and Berlin is going to make 300,000, and Fremont is going to make 600,000, you're already at 2 million too. The 2 million number is bogus. I'm sorry. I will say this until the cows come home. It's not going to be 1.8 million. It's not going to be 2 million. It's going to be at least 2.2 million. And I'm still saying 2.3. And if things go crazy, if the economy booms, and if there's enough batteries, et cetera, but those are a bunch of ifs, I'm saying it is possible to still get to 2.65 million units this year, and it would not be crazy. It could happen. May not happen. I'd be perfectly happy with 2.2 or 2.3. The stock would go like this as soon as the street agrees that that is the number. All right, number 7, the Fed softened their tone. I just did a video this morning that you can see. Go on and take a look at it, where I talked about Kathy Wood and her reaction to the Fed, her reaction to the employment numbers yesterday. I think you'll enjoy that video. But the Fed last week softened their tone a lot. I'm not sure everybody understood. They softened their tone a lot. And I think that they're still understating how likely it is that the economy is fine and how likely it is that interest rates are going to come down, are already coming down. Mortgage rates have been coming down for 3 weeks in a row. I think the interest rates will continue to come down this year. So Fed softening the tone obviously helps Tesla. Huge positive news for Tesla. If the economy does well, they're going to be able to make and sell more cars. So let's look for, that's a very, very big positive. I can't state it enough that the Fed softening their tone was huge for Tesla. Number 8, commodities continue to drop. Again, I talk a lot about that in my conversation about Kathy in my video this morning. Commodities are dropping like a rock. Oil is down to $73 a barrel. It was hovering at 100 for months and months and months, and it has just come down like crazy over the last several weeks. Natural gas is even down more. I think it's 69% down over the last 2 months. Other commodities are coming down. All of that is impacting Tesla's cost of doing business. Therefore, their margins are going to be increasing as the cost of the manufacturer of the car comes down. If natural gas is down and oil is down and steel is down and copper is down and lithium is down, and you start going through the whole list and all these things are down, all of those things are impacting the cost to make the car. If the cost to make the car goes down and the price of the car is slightly going up, that's creating greater margins. Oh, a big one is containers. So for any of Tesla's products that are shipped, container prices have gone down from 16, 17, 18,000 at the high, are down to 2,000, 2,500 like normal. So the cost of shipping things by sea has dropped way, way down. The cost of shipping things by land has also gone down because oil and gas, natural gas prices have come down. So look for that to be helpful to the margins. Another big issue for them. Number 9, Elon won his Twitter suit. Now that's not going to have a huge impact, except what happened is that Elon was in the news all week. The board of directors was in the news all week. And all that they were saying is Elon is a truth teller. All week we've been hearing Elon told the truth. He actually believed it. He actually had it. The money was going to be there. The Saudi wealth fund was going to provide the funds that Elon said were there. So part of the negative, on Elon has always been that he doesn't tell the truth, or that he exaggerates, or and that it's certainly the SEC hitting him up for whatever the 25 million or whatever it was, suggested that he had lied, that he had not been truthful. The judge assumed that the statement was incorrect. I don't understand that judicial practice. The jury said, "Are you kidding me? No, there's no liability here. Let's move on." Elon's a truth teller. It helps the story. Anything that helps the story helps the stock. So number 9, Elon wins the tweet suit is a big deal. Number 10, Consumer Reports. Consumer Reports is no friend of Tesla. Don't know why. The guy with 3 first names, Steve Mark Ryan, thinks that Consumer Reports is in bed with and beholden to General Motors and Ford and others, and not to Tesla because of financial considerations with how they're supported. It may be true. I am no friend of Consumer Reports. They're reporting, in my opinion, where I have known a lot about a product because of my expertise in a certain area, and then I've read their report on that area, I've had to just go, what are they even talking about? It's really, really, really hard, even with a deep dive, if you're not in an industry, to really know what's going on. And they can't be in all those industries. So even though cars is something that they spend a lot of time and a lot of money analyzing, I don't use Consumer Reports. I have not ever been part of, never subscribed. Anyway, but let me get back to the good news. The good news is the Consumer Reports is reporting that Tesla has the second highest brand satisfaction. They're the second most loved car. And the only car company that's ahead of them is Genesis, a niche player. I see Genesis on the freeway here in Los Angeles all the time. It's a nice looking car. It's kind of an interesting looking car. My head's always turning when I see a Genesis going by. But how many do they sell? It's a niche car. They're probably great cars. I have no idea. It's not a car I'm ever going to buy, but they are number one, according to Consumer Reports, in brand loyalty, brand satisfaction, what people say they love. But Tesla is number two. We know that already. It's just nice to hear. Comes from the Consumer Reports. That's a headline grabber. So it was good news last week. Did you hear other good news that I missed? Go ahead, put it in the comments. Did you think anything that I had on this list was not as good as I think it was? It's good too. I love your comments. Please comment. Join Patreon. Looking for more membership on Patreon. We need more people to join. If you liked it, please like. I think you know the drill by now. Hey, listen, it's been great talking to you.